On today's show, just 1 month into New Zealand's new Freebate, electric vehicle sales soar as Kiwis make smart transportation choices. Volkswagen boss Herbert Diess is heavily critical on Twitter of the European IONITY network that Volkswagen helped fund, and pro-fossil fuel ads run on Facebook plagues people's social media in an attempt to kill electric cars. These stories and more coming next. This is Ecotricity's EcoTEC Roundup show from New Zealand's only carboNZero certified renewable electricity company. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to electric vehicles in New Zealand. Switch today at ecotricity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup in the world of clean cars and green energy. Thanks for joining me. Back on July 1st, New Zealand officially launched its brand new incentive program for EVs. And after just 1 month, things are going really well. The Freebate program pays a subsidy of up to 8,625 Kiwi dollars towards the cost of a brand new electric vehicle, or 5,750 Kiwi dollars for a new plug-in hybrid. But it also offers Freebates for those buying a plug-in vehicle on the used car market. During the month of July, 760 purely electric vehicles and 431 plug-in hybrids were registered. In July last year, a total of 483 plug-in, hybrid and hybrid electric vehicles were sold, showcasing just how much of an impact this new program is having. If that doesn't prove that incentives work, I don't know what does. Talking of sales, Ford Motor Company shared its July sales figures this week and, as with many other automakers, demonstrated a noticeable drop in new car sales as fears about COVID continue to run deep and microprocessor shortages affect new car production volumes. That drop, almost 31% year-on-year, is bad news for Ford. But interestingly, there was one success story: Ford's electric and electrified models. Plug-in and hybrid electric vehicles expanded their market share, with the Ford Mustang Mach-E and Ford's F-150 Power Boost hybrid leading the sales figures for the month. The Mach-E has become one of the quickest selling cars in the US this year, with 12 days average between them arriving at a dealer lot and them going home with their new owner. Hyundai has just announced a new subscription service for UK customers that allows them to subscribe to a brand new hybrid, plug-in hybrid or fully electric car for a period as small as 3 months. It's certainly not the only automaker to look at subscription-based ownership options. Volvo has been offering subscription ownership for some time now, but this is the first time Hyundai has explored the option for its customers. Prices start from as little as £339 sterling per month, with everything included, including insurance, scheduled maintenance, repairs and UK road tax. For those who aren't sure yet an EV will suit their needs, this could be a great way to borrow one for a few months to see if it's for you. So while it won't be for everyone, it's good to have choices. Dr. Herbert Diess, boss of Volkswagen AG, has undergone something of a transition over the last few years. As we've covered in last week's show, that transition has seen him loosen up his public image quite a lot, but it's also seen him become a pretty strong EV cheerleader. This week we saw just how much when he lambasted European charging network IONITY publicly for having too few charging stations, poor amenities and broken units. Hitting out on LinkedIn, Diess said, quote, "This is anything but a premium charging experience, IONITY," end quote, something that we're pretty sure many of our European viewers would agree with. But what makes this particularly amusing is the fact that Volkswagen, along with BMW, Daimler and Ford, were the automakers responsible for founding IONITY in the first place. Yeah. Last September, Tesla announced a major deal with Peidmont Lithium that would see the automaker use the mining specialist to source the lithium it needs for its battery production facilities in the US. At the heart of the deal was Piedmont's new North Carolina lithium mine production facility, a location that not only has one of the best deposits of lithium in North America, but would have also given Tesla domestic-sourced raw materials. But this week we learned that Piedmont has now announced it will have to delay the first shipments of raw materials to Tesla and doesn't have a date at which deliveries will begin. Part of the problem lies with local opposition to the facility, which we understand Piedmont doesn't yet have state approval to establish a mine next to. While we'd rather not focus on the aftermath of accidents on this channel, knowing how to safely deal with an electric car that's been in a collision or other emergency situation is an essential skill for first responders. And that's why Volvo has just donated a brand new XC40 Recharge to the FDNY to help it train its firefighters and EMTs on how to safely deal with an electric car and its occupants in an emergency situation. The vehicle will form part of the FDNY's training program, ensuring that first responders become more familiar with how electric vehicles operate, how to safely isolate their battery packs post-collision, and what to look for and when to cut when preparing to rescue occupants from inside a stranded vehicle. There's currently no requirement for fire departments to train with electric cars, although more departments are doing just that, as knowing what to do can be the difference between life and death, quite literally. Tesla has long been the champion of charging speed, with most modern electric cars struggling to get anywhere near as high a charging speed as Tesla's V3 supercharger-compatible cars. Last week we mentioned that the Mercedes-Benz EQS might have a lower peak power level than a V3-equipped Tesla, but according to Inside EVs, took less time to charge overall thanks to a higher sustained charging rate compared to any Tesla. Now it looks like the Hyundai IONIQ 5 is also after Tesla's crown, with an executive from the company telling Automotive News this week that the IONIQ 5 will dominate Tesla in terms of miles of range added per minute. The company recently demonstrated a 10 to 80% state of charge of the IONIQ 5's battery in just 18 minutes. Food delivery services have become a common part of life in the 21st century, especially in the age of COVID, but paying someone to deliver food to your home is not always the most carbon-friendly option. And now Indian food delivery company Swiggy, which has been delivering food to Indians for more than 7 years, is trying to tackle that by trading out some of its delivery motorcycles and mopeds for electric ones. In its busiest cities, Swiggy has been using pedal cycles for some time, but in areas where longer distances need to be covered, the humble moped has long been a mainstay. Its ultimate goal is to make the 800,000 kilometres of deliveries made every day, that's about 497,000 miles, all electric, by 2025. Stellantis, the world's third largest automaker established after Fiat Chrysler and PSA combined forces earlier this year, has announced that more of its brands will go fully electric. It's already committed to its Fiat brand going all electric by 2030 in Europe, and as part of its joint agreement with Ford and General Motors in the US announced this week, will be aiming for 50% of all of its US vehicles being zero emission by the same date. But this week it said its DS Performance brand will only launch all electric models from 2024 onwards, far earlier than it had previously planned, and that the Alfa Romeo brand will follow suit by 2027. This now means that Fiat will be the third Stellantis brand to dump the pump, and shows just how much the group views electric drivetrains as integral to its very survival. I am sure that you are all aware of the trouble that Facebook has found itself in over the past few years as it allowed malicious advertising campaigns designed to misinform electorates about the US election and much more, all while lining its own coffers. Facebook found itself on Capitol Hill for those particular transgressions, but now it appears the company is doing the same thing, but this time by allowing paid misinformation campaigns from pro-fossil fuel groups. According to third-party social media specialists Influence Map, pro-fossil fuel ads were shown to people on their Facebook timelines a total of 431 million times last year alone. The goal of such ads? To delay the shift away from fossil fuels and to stunt the growth of renewable energy and EVs. Big oil isn't going down without a fight. And finally, Rivian may have found itself suffering the same challenges as the rest of the auto industry this year, namely chip shortages and other COVID-related delays, and as you probably already know, it has been forced to push back the launch of its R1T and R1S to September from last July. But this week it showcased the reactions of the first reservation holders it's invited to its Normal, Illinois production facility to try out the production R1T and R1S for the very first time. These customers will, all going well, get their vehicles in just over a month's time, and it looks like they had a thoroughly good time testing out just what the R1T and R1S could do. A big part of the video Rivian published to celebrate those first drives was the big EV grins that everyone had. And frankly, I think the world needs more of those, don't you? And on that note, we are done for the day. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next episode, and if you haven't already switched, why not switch to New Zealand's only carboNZero certified renewable electricity company? It is super easy to make the switch, and when you do, you'll be helping New Zealand wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean, green power that will keep the land beautiful for generations to come. I'll be back soon with more great videos for you, but until then, I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Ka kite! See you next time.